not only listening to our friends but like checking on them, asking, how are you doing? And like, no, really. I hear a lot of students who are like, oh, I don't want to burden my friends. I don't want, they have enough of their stuff going on. If I talk about what I'm dealing with, it'll be too much. And I just sort of kind of want to call like bull on that, because the reason is, if I'm sharing with you about some things I'm going through and they're things that you can relate to or things that maybe you're actually going through, we can then say like, whoa, me too. I'm going through that too. Yeah. I'm feeling that too.
Howdy, Ags, and welcome back to On Air with Student Affairs, the podcast that showcases all the ways you can create your Aggie experience right here at Texas A&M. I'm your host, Morgan Miles, and I am the loudest and the proudest member of the Fightin' Texas Aggie class of 2026, AAA, whoop. And today, I am here with Megan Culpepper, Anna Taggart, and DJ Scott. How are y'all today?
Good.
Doing good.
Good. Good. Awesome. So tell us, I know I already said your names, but if you don't mind repeating your name, tell us a little bit about your role and what you do.
Sure. I'm Megan Culpepper. I'm a licensed professional counselor, and I work under University Health Services. My primary role is just meeting with students and talking with them and providing individual counseling, as well as I offer group counseling. So that's my main piece.
Awesome.
I'm Anna Taggart. I am the fitness director with Rec Sports, and I oversee our group fitness program, all the different fitness classes that we offer, our specialty classes, and just the management and daily operations of that program.
Awesome.
Yeah. I'm DJ Scott. I also work at Rec Sports. I'm the assistant director of strength and conditioning. Previous to that, I was a personal training and small group training coordinator. And so everything fitness is on that side of the house as far as personal training goes, small group training, and then like weight room management is what I have more of my hands in. Right now, sort of switching out of the personal training space a little bit and more focusing on the weight room management side of it, as well as getting more involved with our strength and conditioning, specifically for our sport clubs programs. And so that's primarily what I'm doing now.
Kind of overarching, what are some things that you all wish that students knew about mental health and just like mental wellness in college? Because I think it's a very big topic. I think sometimes it could not be talked about as much as it should, or it can be seen as like a shameful thing. So like, what are some things you wish college students knew?
Yeah, so obviously we're student facing. We see a lot of students. And so that's primarily where I guess our experience would come from. For me specifically, I want people, especially the students, to know that there are two sides to it, right? There is a side of like, this is real. You do have to take your health into concern. You need to make sure that you're really taking care of yourself. It's very important. But the other side is not to make that your identity, I think.
Right.
Right. I do think it's important for people to understand that I think everybody that you kind of look up to, everybody's done something successful, went through hard times. They probably would say they're better because of those hard times.
Right.
And so I think it's both sides of that, right? Try and find out your limits, but you can't really figure that out unless you've tested them a little bit.
Yeah.
And so push that a little bit, figure out like where it went, and then adjust after that. Make your adjustments and then get back to it, right? But that's what I would say. It's definitely two sides to it.
Yeah, I think I would just add that there's so many different elements of wellness that are related. And I always say that kind of, emotional or mental wellness is almost the overarching dimension that so many of the other dimensions can help with. And so what I mean by that is, obviously with Rec Sports, we're very focused on physical wellness and physical well-being. But if you start to take care of your physical health and you're moving your body in a way that feels good for you, then that can help in turn with your mental health. I can't even tell you how many times people have come to our fitness classes and when they leave, they say, oh my gosh, I just feel so like less stressed, or I feel so relaxed, or, the thing about the group fitness classes specifically is there's community. And I think that social well-being is huge. You know, we're seeing that, especially when it comes to students feeling lonely or feeling isolated is getting out and going to be around people and find that community that you feel a part of can help you in turn with your mental health and wellness. And so I think, I agree with the piece of not letting something define you, but also taking control of it and figuring out ways that can help and knowing that moving your body is like scientifically proven to decrease anxiety and depression. It can help you improve your sleep. It can increase your mood. And then, of course, that community piece when you're around other people and socializing, that can help with your mental health too. So I think that's important to know.
Yeah. And I think it's awesome that you pointed out not so much only, I think like whenever we think about mental health in college, like we automatically go to like classes and like academics, but like there's also that social aspect that I didn't even think about, like finding the community and like those workout classes, like, cause maybe that person is having like mental health issues because they feel lonely, you know, or like they haven't found friends on campus, especially as a freshman. I think that's something that freshmen really like you linger on. I remember when I was a freshman, I'm like, when am I going to like make my friends? And because everybody tells you coming to college, they're like, oh, you're going to meet these people and they're going to be in your wedding, Like there's this expectation. So like, I think that's a really neat aspect to point out, like through fitness, that like you have that community and like that also plays a role in mental health as well.
Yeah. And I think with rec sports specifically, it's not just group fitness. We have small group training classes. We have outdoor adventures trips. We have intramural sports, club sports. We're one of the largest employers on campus. And so I just think of our employees even and how they build relationships and closeness with each other. We have a lot of students who graduate and then their coworkers end up being in their weddings or, their friends for life that they find with their jobs. And I know there's, all across the Division of Student Affairs, there's student employees. So I think seeking out those types of things can help too.
Yeah, that's really cool. But most of my friend group that I hang out with now, they all work at the rec. Oh, nice. And they're like going to be, one of them is getting married and they're going to be in their wedding. So that's funny that you said that. Yeah, that's awesome.
Yeah. I think the thing that I would add is that college is one of the primary developmental times in your life where you're going to experience new things for the first time, not only just being on your own, having more independence. The reality is a lot of us have not experienced a lot of challenge, or if we have, we've had a ton of support through that. Now, that's not everyone's experience, so I want to acknowledge that, but coming to college, there may be some firsts and maybe someone who has not necessarily experienced anxiety or depression or loneliness is now finding themselves in this new place. And I would say you're not alone in that talking about it, reaching out, asking for support. And that doesn't have to be through counseling. It can be through these examples you all have just mentioned. But that some of this is normal and to be expected. And if we don't have those kind of coping strategies, then that's a place to focus and say, hey, I think I need to learn, what do I do when I don't get into that org that I so desperately wanted? In kind of acknowledging that's not my identity, right? But there are more things to me than where I work or who I'm dating or what org I'm in. So those are some of the things that I would say, like, if you're thinking maybe I might want to talk to someone, like that's probably a good sign that's a good thing to have and do.
Right. Yeah. And I would even agree with that. Talking about just like not getting into orgs and stuff, that's like a huge, I think, just transfer freshman thing of just like having your identity like wrapped around like being in a certain org or being in a certain flow, especially flows, because flows are so competitive. Like being in a certain flow or being in like a sorority or a fraternity. And it's like, I think just that really that first semester, like that is your identity is like, how can I make people notice me? And I think something that I learned whenever I was a freshman is like, you'll save yourself. I stop trying to like worry about your identity and like how to impress people. So dealing with social aspects and academic aspects, right now we're approaching final season, dreaded final season. What is your advice for students going through that like end of the year burnout and like just being stressed and kind of reaching that like point of just being like, I'm done. I don't want to do anything anymore.
Yeah. I heard a couple gals on the way over here, and they were talking about how nice the weather is outside. Yep. And they're sort of almost kind of going to that opposite of like, I'm just going to spend all my time outside and enjoy the weather, and I'll figure out school later, which is totally reasonable, right? Like we need time to rest and recharge, and getting outside is good for our physical and mental health. I typically just tell students, take a moment, like slow down, breathe. And I get it. It's not simple when we're literally in the throes of a million different things. But I think slowing down, taking a moment, and doing just like a quick inventory of like, where am I at? How is my sleep? How is
that's exactly what I was going to say.
How is my appetite been? And actually, I think when we're thinking about stress and specifically, I go more to that holistic wellness approach first and say, hey, let's see what we can do, small steps here. Then we can sort of get into more of this psychological kind of cognitive aspects that are often driving some negative beliefs. And that is then kind of where I'll focus in. But I guess to your question, asking for support, asking for maybe not an extension, that's not what I'm trying to say, but like navigating maybe boundaries and sort of saying like, maybe I need to reschedule this, or maybe I need to prioritization. I think that's what I was looking for. Yeah.
Like giving yourself time to breathe and like rest and relax in between everything. Because I think the semester can just be so chaotic, and you can just get caught up in like classes and then sorority events, fraternity events, all the things. So you're just like back to back to back, and you're not taking that time to like stop and rest. I know I'm so guilty of that. I think that's probably one of my biggest problems in college is I'm like the type of person that's like, okay, how much can I physically take on to the point to where I'm like overwhelmed? And then I'll be like, oh, I'm so anxious. Like, I wonder why I'm so anxious.
There's a lot of students like that I've talked to. We've had some come through who have, started working for us, and then they realize like, oh, I just took on too much. I just have too much on my plate, and we get it. I think to what Megan said, I always come back to my advice is around finals and this time, because it's April, there's like, the countdown is on. And there's also so many things going on, so many fun events going on, end of year formals and banquets and ring dunks and everything else, graduation parties. So I always come back to checking in on your basic needs. So sleep and food, make sure you're eating. I teach for kinesiology, and it's an intro to health and fitness class. And, I always talk about sleep. We talk about sleep and how pulling an all-nighter, it's not effective. Like your brain actually needs sleep to learn for your memory, for your brain. You cannot do, an all-nighter. So if someone is out there and pulls an all-nighter and they're like, well, I had success with it, it's probably a one-time thing.
Don't do it all the time.
Long-term solution, all-nighters do not work. You need your sleep so that you can absorb that information. Your brain can process everything and then, take your test the next day. So sleep, and then making sure you are eating. So, because that's obviously going to fuel your brain.
I think it's so funny that like, it's so typical for college students to pull all-nighters. And I think that was something I was able to get away with more in high school, just being able to stay up, because I've pulled one all-nighter since I've been in college. Never again. I was like, I don't know if I just aged 30 years, but I'm like, I don't know how I did that. I stayed up to study, and I had to write something, and I had a test, and I was like, I think I did worse by staying up and like not getting the rest that I needed. So I will never be doing that again. So if you're listening, don't pull an all-nighter. It's not worth it.
I think on that note too, time management, because with the prioritization, like with the students I work with and see the amount who procrastinate and wait till the end to do something, to finish their paper, like that's going to make you more stressed, it's going to make you more stressed. It's going to make you sick. It's going to make you have to stay up late and affect your sleep and all of that. So making sure that during this time, maybe like creating a calendar, like mapping out your calendar, putting your to-do list together, like
planners.
For folks who like crossing things off. I love that too,
Me too.
So putting things on your to-do list and your calendar, planning ahead so that you've got your time. I joked with a friend the other day. She had her workout on her calendar and it said like workout, and she's like, oh, that's so funny. You have that on your calendar. But I was like, honestly, if you don't put it on there, you're not going to do it. So some people are like that, I'm like that too. So finding that schedule and system that works for you for organization and planning, and then finding an accountability buddy too, that maybe you can like study with or take breaks with. I always say when you're in the throes of studying and writing, every hour, at least every hour, getting up and moving your body, whether that's going to get a sip of water, going to the bathroom, like taking a lap around your apartment, that's just going to help you too to process that information and to just like decompress when you're in the throes of studying and give your brain a break.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I think they hit the nail on the head, honestly. I was going to go with both of those sides of things. It's scheduling that's very important. It's being purposeful about how you're setting all this stuff up. I pulled all-nighters, so I'm talking from experience as well, but not actually listening to your body and figuring out how you should have prepared for that week, for those couple of weeks is really what hurt me especially. And so when I started to learn how to separate my time and say no to more things, I got way better and was way more successful. I think another part of this too is just communication. I think especially for us, when we're dealing with students and they have really hard times, if they communicate these things better with us, we can give them more steps to kind of help them figure out that process within work. But when it comes on the day of and you're like, I didn't plan for this, I didn't tell you anything, and it's 15 minutes before this class or before this training session, can I not do it? It's like, that's not really an option at this very point, right? And so communicating, I think, is very important. And I think the other big thing is like having a healthy outlet. Like Anna already listed rec sports, and so there's plenty of stuff that you can do there that we're very much an advocate for. But I think the unhealthy avenue that people often go to is drinking, right? Before this is even done, right? They got the first exam out of the way, I need to drink. It's like, well, maybe we should at least kind of get through this, find another healthy avenue first. And then when we got through that, then maybe have your own pleasures in that way. But having a healthy avenue during that study time that actually helps your brain prepare for these things, help you get a higher grade, which then after you pass that, you feel better. I think that's an easier way to celebrate.
Absolutely. I think listening to your body is so important. And coming from personal experience, my freshman year was like the worst year of college I've ever had because I was so stressed and it was just me not listening to my body and what it was telling me. And I was sick as a dog my entire freshman year. And it was like my body just needed to rest and my body needed to learn how to adjust to things. And I was just trying to go and do because that's what I was supposed to do. I was supposed to go out for 70 orgs and join everything I could on campus instead of just like slowing down, especially because I'm an only child. So it was like a huge transition. And like, I don't really have any, like, I have 3 to 5 first cousins. Like, I don't have any close family that's my age. So it was like, I felt like I was going in by myself and nobody could relate to me. And so it was a huge like adjustment and transition, but it was like, I just needed to listen to my body. And if you don't, it will catch up with you. So learn to listen to your body. That is like the best advice I can give anybody. Sleep, drink water. I'm still working on that. Drink lots of water. And like you said, even just taking like a lap around your apartment, that's something that I've had to start doing. Like after work and whenever I come home from classes, is just taking my dogs. Dogs are the best too if you have a dog.
They are. They give you a reason to walk.
Yes, get a dog. I'm such a huge advocate for getting a dog in college. But just take your dogs on a walk or just walk around the apartment. Like that has helped me so much. And then once I come inside, I'm like, I feel a lot better. And like you start to think also, like you're stressing about things that really aren't that stressful. Once you like get out there and like get moving, you learn, you're like, oh, like maybe I was just overreacting. And 9 times out of 10, you might be, especially with things in college. So I want to talk about some online services. Do you offer any telehealth services or ways that students can maybe get help if they physically can't be there in person?
Yeah. So one of the good things that came out of COVID was that we do offer telehealth services, and anyone who is located in Texas. So we actually have some satellite campuses through Texas A&M. And if they don't have an embedded counselor at their campus, which has grown over the past year and a half or so, they can register to do a telehealth appointment. So that's going to be through Zoom. And I've also had several students who maybe have had an injury and getting to the middle of campus and
it's hard.
coming in, or let's say it's raining and it doesn't make sense for you to, walk the distance. We do offer that telehealth support. And then I think I'll just throw out the other kind of more virtual or telehealth type option is going to be our after hours support, which is through an app. It's a partnership we have with the TELUS app. And that's going to allow students to connect to a mental health provider 24/7, 365. And they can do chat, which we're learning that is kind of sometimes a preferred method of communication, as well as like a phone call that they can log in and within, I would say, a reasonable few minutes, have someone that they're physically talking to. And so what's great about that is it can be 2 a.m, it can be a Sunday night. It doesn't have to be, through that Monday through Friday, 8 to 4 timeframe.
Right. So I want to bridge the gap, obviously. Like we're talking about physical health and mental health. Like what is the thing that bridges the gap? Like how do they connect? How do they interlap? And then also, what are some signs of someone that maybe should reach out for professional help or counseling? Like, how do you see that in physical health services and how do you see that in mental health services? Because I think one of the first things like I can think of as a college student, like physical wise, is like stress eating. I feel like that's just like a typical college thing. And kind of like you mentioned, like you said, drinking is a big one. It's just like being like, oh, well, I'm really stressed, so I'm just going to eat this entire tub of ice cream. And it's like, are you really thinking about after you eat the tub of ice cream, is that going to help you afterwards? And like, you're still going to be stressed. And now you're going to gain like 5 pounds because you're eating a tub of ice cream every day. So it's like, what are some of the signs and things you look for in those two different fields?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start off. I'm sure there's plenty more we can share with this, but I'll kick it off. I think there's like really two more evident things on like the weightlifting fitness side of things that you can typically kind of see. One is going to be when they are just seeing no progress or everything is starting to get harder for them and it used to be easier. Typically we say like they need a deload at that time. But sometimes you'll have people whose mindset is the opposite of the typical and they just hit everything harder when things are already going hard for them. And so instead of learning to take the break, they'll just continue to push. And that's the person that's spending like 3 hours in the gym.
Overtraining.
They're just doing way too much. And so you're seeing them more often and they're probably doing a little bit more than they probably should. And their body's starting to show it, right? Every single time they go for any lift, something that normally was pretty easy for them starts to become way more difficult, and it really shouldn't be. And the other side of that is usually more of an appearance thing. You start to see some individuals who, I guess more on the eating disorder type of side. Every now and then we'll have a few come through, and you can just start to tell somebody who had more of a normal body weight, if that's even a thing. But their body weight is shifted, right? And so now they've dropped a considerable amount of weight and they're still trying to lose more.
Yeah.
And so it can be hard to pick up in the beginning, but when you've seen and you're in the room a lot and you've just gotten to know some of these people and you see a pretty drastic shift, sometimes it's pretty evident. And so that would be the two things I'd start off with that you see pretty commonly. Going a little bit too hard and needing a deload, but you can't necessarily see any physical differences, but you can just see how they're moving is different. And also the true physical difference of their appearance of just like they've shedded a whole bunch of weight and they still see no point in stopping. They're just going to try and attack it as hard as possible. Typically not a healthy sign.
Yeah, that definitely is a negative way that physical can be related to mental health for sure. I think there's, of course, like I mentioned, the positive ways that they can be related, like just moving your body in any way that feels good for you is going to improve your stress, your mental health, your sleep, etc. The list goes on and on. So I would say that another thing that obviously I work with my employees closely, and then I work with the students I teach. So we meet with them every semester and have conversations about their how are you doing? Checking in with them, but also how's your job going? Stuff like that. And so when little red flags that I notice when I'm speaking to students are things like, oh, I'm getting injured more. Maybe they're doing too much, kind of like what DJ said. And so we look at, their load, their class load. So injuries common, getting sick common, usually those are things their physical health is starting to decline, maybe because of their mental health, maybe because they're not eating enough, maybe they're over exercising, so we can see those physical health declines. The other thing is when they mention things about their stress or anxiety or mental health, I always ask the question, are you talking to someone? Like, do you have a therapist that you see? I really appreciate that. I feel like mental health has come a long way in the world of talking about it. And whenever I ask that question, the answer is, oh yeah, I have a therapist. I feel like students are super open about that. And I love that. I have had students in distress before who've come to me crying, in that moment of, I can't come to class today because of XYZ, or I can't teach today. This happened, and in that moment, I'm always like, okay, well, can I help you find someone to talk to? Can I take you over to student health services? Can I talk to you myself? Do you want to talk to me? Or do you have someone that you can lean on for support? Of course, I'm going to tell them, don't worry about your job stuff right now. Right. Don't worry about class. Like, take time to yourself. But I always make sure that they have someone to go talk to. And I always say, hey, I'm going to check in on you. I'm going to email you. So please email me back. So I think just having those conversations with students when you do see them in distress is always helpful.
Yeah. And I would just add, I think both Ann and I would agree, obviously fitness is still important in the healthy side as well. Yes. We both know that we'd probably be different people if we didn't work out. I know if I go too long without it, it does affect me mentally as well. There's a lot of positive, and I think how we can be somewhat of a resource for people is be the outlet, right? Yeah. Sometimes, especially if you're new going to a small group class, a group fitness class, it can be what you just needed and you didn't even know you needed, right? Yeah. Walking into the gym for the first time and just trying out some of the equipment, something new, something that's different that can challenge you, can still be a fun thing to do. And if it's already what you're getting into, trying to keep that consistent schedule and being able to just be in that environment that you already know you love, and sometimes you can forget why. Taking a different approach still in that same environment, but trying something different out can always be another fun avenue. And so, again, we also would agree, there's a negative side to it, but there's also a very positive side to it. And we're advocates for that as well. If I can continue to try and get more people into working out, moving their bodies in some shape or form, always here for it.
Yeah. What would you say is the mental health, physical health bridge that you see?
Well, I think Anna mentioned kind of that down-regulating piece. And so I think when we think of mental health, it is kind of encompassing a lot of different areas, but it's also the cool, intricate thing that I don't even know 100% about, just our brain and our hormones. And it's all connected. I think about a year ago, I learned about how our circadian rhythm in light and literally our eyeballs are the window to just regulating so much of our body and being able to say oh, I'm getting sleepy now, or okay, it's time for me to wake up. And so when you start to kind of piece those parts together and actually recognize that okay, sleeping and eating well, moving my body, connecting with people, being outside, and you realize how much that does make you feel physically better, and then it impacts your mental state. If you think about our minds, I think something that I hear a lot is just this overthinking, mind racing. And actually the reason why I think a lot of students are so busy and they go out for 70 orgs is they are, in a way, afraid of sitting quietly alone with their thoughts, because then they actually have to hear them and
process
think about them and be like, whoa, okay.
I'm an overthinker, so I get this. Yeah.
And so the piece that I think is important is as you're regulating kind of that overall wellness piece, a lot of my work, I kind of approach things from a cognitive behavioral therapy is, okay, what are you saying to yourself?
Mhm.
What is the self-talk that's going through your mind? And I try not to categorize it as positive or negative, but I try to categorize it as helpful or unhelpful. Is that thought helpful? Well, no, not really. Okay. Why are you saying it to yourself 40 times a day?
Yeah.
Right? Let's think of a more helpful thought. And sometimes it's literally changing a word or the tone. And so but I think when we're not even kind of at like our, like a healthy physical state, doing some of that more reflective and processing work can be really
Hard.
tough.
Right.
Because then that's where I get students who are like, I don't know, and I'm not sure. And they're almost like not disconnected, but in a way they're like mind and body aren't connected.
Yeah.
And so when we start to kind of create those like connections and be able to say, well, you know, I have been really tense and sore and tired. Okay, well, let's kind of think about ways that you can address that. And then we might be able to get into kind of more of that, you know, our thoughts, our beliefs, and our values, and begin to sort of ask ourselves, is what I'm doing in line with where I want to go?
Right.
And sometimes that's yes, but I feel like a lot of times it's no.
Yeah.
And so that's sometimes where like a neutral place like therapy is a great spot to kind of talk through that.
Right.
Sometimes we are doing things for other people and not ourselves. And that's so tough. Like I feel like students who are saying, you know, I feel like my parents are funding my college and I have to study this and I just really don't enjoy it. I feel and empathize with them for so much because sometimes they don't have another option and outlet.
Right.
So that's where therapy can be like a neutral space to say, like, let's talk about that. How are you coping with that? How are you navigating that? So kind of went off into the mental health piece a little bit more, but I think there's that foundation of our physical health that then can sometimes allow us to open up kind of more of those maybe challenges or barriers in our mental health.
Yeah. How would you say that our thoughts play a role in like our mental and physical health? Because I noticed that you brought that up, like changing the wording or the tone.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I think it's 99.9% of it. Like, you know, if I had to pick on your friend, I would want to know, like, what is she saying to herself that is keeping her from going to the gym? It's like, well, I'm worried people are looking at me. I'm worried I don't know what I'm doing. And so then typically we can sort of lay out those thoughts and be like, okay, is this true? Like, are people looking at you? No, they're lifting 100 pounds. They're not looking at you. They're trying not to, you know, let the weight fall on them.
Yeah.
Okay, so if you don't know what you're doing, what's your plan? Well, I can ask. So then we try to kind of like challenge each of those thoughts. And so I would say our thinking is an overwhelmingly significant part of our mental health.
Yeah.
One last thing I think on physical and mental health that I know we touched on a little bit, but was sleep. And something I was just thinking about is, you know, a lot of college students and people are on their phones a lot, right? We are, you know, very much so on our phones and connected with social media and things like that. And I do a sleep report. We do a sleep report for the class that I teach, and they have to assess their sleep for a week, and the students in my class. And the reports come back, and it's like, wow, I am on my phone for X amount of time every night. When I changed and was off my phone, like I slept so much better. And so I think that is something that we have to be aware of too, because that affects our mental health, right? Or that physical piece affects our mental health. So thinking about ways that we can decompress and pause and, you know, maybe put timers on our apps or timers on our phones or put it aside, you know, an hour or 30 minutes or something before bed. I think that can help us with sleep, which and then can help us with our mental health and physical, because less sleep equals more likely to be sick, to you know, weaken our immune system. So if we want to help ourselves out in that way, then getting that sleep is going to be really important too.
Yeah. Sleep is huge. That's one of my big ones is sleep. I hardly sleep. And now I sleep too much. So it's like this weird balance of going from like, okay, you need to go to sleep, can't go to sleep. I have insomnia so bad, can't go to sleep. And then I go to sleep and then I never want to get up. So it's just like the balance of like, when is it too much sleep? When are you getting not enough sleep? And if you're oversleeping, can that still be just as bad as like not getting enough sleep?
Yeah.
You know?
Most people, 6 to 8 hours, is the recommended range. You have to figure out for yourself what it is. Might be a little more, a little less, But I think that asking questions about our sleep routine, setting up a sleep routine, because if we're having trouble falling asleep or waking up a lot at night, what are we doing before bed? Are we on our phones? Are we watching TV? Is it that screen time? Because that screen time is going to affect our ability to sleep well,
Yeah.
So I think looking at our sleep routines, nighttime routines, stuff like that can also help us. And then tracking the sleep to figure out how much we need, finding that middle ground.
Right.
Well, and you had asked earlier about just some signs that someone may, be more overwhelmed or maybe kind of experience a more unhealthy mental health or negative mental health. I think that is one thing that I'll look at is how much sleep they're getting, and if it's too much. Like, are they using sleep to avoid? Are they, maybe like so fatigued that their body is needing like this really large amount of sleep seemingly.
Yeah.
And so those are things that I think it's something to kind of like keep an eye on with our friends or our peers. Not that you're like creeping in, like, where are you sleeping?
Yeah.
I would say like having healthy conversations about sleep and encouraging healthy sleep habits would be lovely. But I think the other thing too is like not only listening to our friends but like checking on them, asking, how are you doing? And like, no, really. I hear a lot of students who are like, oh, I don't want to burden my friends. They have enough of their stuff going on. If I talk about what I'm dealing with, it'll be too much. And I just sort of kind of want to call like bull on that, because the reason is if I'm sharing with you about some things I'm going through and they're things that you can relate to or things that maybe you're actually going through, we can then say like, whoa, me too. I'm going through that too. Yeah. I'm feeling that too. And so I think it's important to give ourselves permission to share. Now, not everybody's safe. Not everybody's going to give us the reaction or the support that we need. So we have to be mindful of who we choose to sort of allow into some of those more intimate parts of our mental health.
Right.
But I do think it's okay to talk about how you're actually doing with people. Because then I think it also opens the door to show them they can talk about it, right? So if we're all kind of running around like we can't talk about it because we don't want to burden each other, then like nobody's talking about it. So I think this idea of bringing things into the light and sort of saying like it's okay to talk.
Yeah,
it's good.
So I want to ask, are there any like mental health workshops, like peer programs, or anything that like students can invest in to like help them learn more just about mental health, or like learn more specifics about certain things within mental and physical health?
Yeah. So we have workshops that you do have to register for through our website. And they're either a one-time, like 1 hour workshop or a two-part workshop. So you come one time 1 week, one time the next week. They're usually over topics that are pretty common: anxiety, depression, relationships. We have one that we periodically offer about like imposter syndrome, perfectionism. I'm blanking on a few of the other ones. So those are kind of more of a service that our counseling team provides. But through that prevention and population health team, we do have a newer program called Aggie Peer Connect, and it is a space where students can drop in into our student services building on the 3rd floor and have someone to talk to, literal peer-to-peer support. And so right now, as we're launching that, there are different events. I think they did bracelets and brownies the other day. A lot of them involve some sort of food or treat or activity, which is nice. It sort of lowers that like threshold of like, hey, we can make this bracelet and talk. So those are those peer-to-peer support connections. And then our Aggie Health Zone offers information and workshops around like nutrition on a budget, overall well-being topics. So I think some sleep things, they actually have like such a plethora of things. I don't even know what all they are. But going to the University Health Services calendar will kind of lay out all those different events that are happening. And so I would say there's actually a lot of ways that students can utilize resources and get plugged in through our office.
Right. Oh, awesome. And so to kind of wrap up, because I can't keep y'all forever, I could ask so many questions. I'm going to I have 2 questions, but I'm going to try and combine them into one. Because I want to ask this as someone who's going to be a senior next year. So I want to speak for my seniors and my former students. So ring season is here. Everybody's getting their Aggie ring. Everybody's graduating. Everybody is getting FOMO that doesn't have their Aggie ring, aka me. Like, what do you recommend for those students? Like, what advice do you have for those students that maybe feel like, oh my gosh, I'm a senior, like I have to have a job. Like I need to have a job like right now. Or like if I don't have a job now, then like I'm not going to be successful. And then you start that kind of like thought spiral. And then what advice do you just have in general for students wanting to do better with their sleep schedule, their mental health, stress, all of that?
I would say when it comes to the job situation, it is really hard right now. You know, I know so many graduating seniors and students who have not found a job. I know people who graduated in December and don't have a job, or, you know, graduated last May and still finalizing job stuff now, you know. I would just say it's normal. It's okay. Like, you'll figure it out. Sometimes, you know, with the world, it takes time, more time for things like that. Keep your options open, you know. That would be my recommendation for talk to your peers too, because I'm sure if you have other friends looking for jobs, they're in the same boat when it comes to struggling or to find a job and things like that. Use your resources, use your advisors or mentors that you have on campus. If you have like bosses, supervisors, if you have, advisors for organizations, talk to them, lean on them, see what they can help you with, or if they have connections and networking. I always also say if there are jobs that you want, like finding those people in those roles and reaching out to them to say, hey, I want to be in a job like you one day. What do I need to do? How can I prepare myself? We also have career services within DSA, so reaching out to them to talk to them about how you can, make sure your resume is good to go. Junior year especially, I would say, is making sure that resume is good and ready to go, and then start create an account on LinkedIn. I know a couple people who are seniors and they don't have LinkedIn accounts. I would say create a LinkedIn account. Like that's a big thing to have, and put a profile picture on there. Yes. Put a picture on there professionally, make sure everything's up to date. Like that is a good place to start. Indeed, looking on Indeed and LinkedIn. But LinkedIn, I feel like, is a really good spot for networking. So getting plugged in within the resources you have and people that you know on campus, because of course the Aggie network is also a great place to find jobs and things like that too.
Yeah, I was gonna say that even whenever you like go on LinkedIn, like it'll tell you like 3 people from your school work here. Yep. So it's like nice, and you get to see like people who went to A&M, and then it makes it easier to connect because it's like your peers, your mutuals.
Exactly.
So, yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
I would just say, I think it's so common for that present stress to be magnified, and that there's something about like being patient. And I know it's hard because everyone's asking, where are you going? What are you doing? Do you have a job yet? Some of those people are your parents, and they're very, very concerned that you're still on their payroll. And so I would say, as much as you can, make a plan. Like, what are some actionable steps you can do versus sitting in the worry? Write out what you're worried about. Write out those fears. Write out that fear that, like, I'm going to graduate from Texas A&M and, you know, work at a job that doesn't require a degree. Like, that's my actual fear. And so it's like, okay, and let's acknowledge that. Let's look at the statistics. That's likely not going to happen.
Right.
But then make an action plan. Like, actually think about what are those actionable steps I'd like to be applying, you know, to this many jobs a week. I think what happens is a lot of times when we're in that anxiety, stress state, we get paralyzed. And then we can't do anything.
Right.
And so taking care of our body, breathing, kind of calming down, acknowledging what it is that I'm actually worried about.
Right.
Then make an action step and try to do something, even if it's, I'm emailing the career advisor today and like, I check, okay, I did that.
Yeah, I'll share a sort of personal story from myself that was kind of in the same boat. So when I was graduating with my master's, everything was kind of working out perfectly for me. I actually ended up with 2 job offers like right before I was supposed to graduate, like a month before. And that ended up being in 2020. And so then everything shut down and both those job offers froze. And a few months before that, we just had our first kid. And so new dad, everything's going great, about to have this job, about to transfer over to now we have no job offer. The job I'm currently in has an end date. There is no way to continue through it. And so we now have to figure this out as a family and kind of work through this. And I bring that up to kind of help show people that there is some ability to relate with this. It took 6 months before one of those come unfrozen called me back. In that time, I was still reaching out to other people, trying to figure something out. Got really close to some other opportunities that could have definitely changed the trajectory of where I'm at today. But I just want to say I get the fear and the scare and what it comes with that. That 6 months felt like forever, especially have a kid.
Especially with COVID.
Yeah, it
can't do anything.
It was nuts.
Yeah.
There was no real easy way to have an outlet. We were stuck inside for the majority of it. And we ended up moving to North Carolina with that, which was a little bit more stricter in their COVID guidelines at that time. And so it was rigid. And so if you are scared of that time, if you're already graduating, you're graduating this semester and it hasn't come yet, I do understand where the fear is. But as somebody that also came out of it, has had students that have come out of similar situations, there is light at the end of the tunnel. And what they already mentioned is what you just have to do. Use your resources. I did not use mine as well as I should have, right? I was too big-headed in that moment. I already got it. I got the job offers. I can do it again.
Right.
Didn't use my resources as much as I could have. And make sure you just communicate as much as possible. If you do those things when you're in those moments and try not to dwell in that sadness, dwell in how all the hard work you put in doesn't seem like it's paying off just yet, you may miss the moment where it was actually going to pay off. And so if you can keep your head up, still pushing forward, understanding that is a scary moment. We've been there. We can get through it if you just try and keep pushing forward.
Awesome. Thank y'all so much for the great advice. And thanks for coming on. This was great. Fun. This might be our longest podcast we've ever filmed. But it was great. Thank you so much for coming.
Of course.
Yes, thanks.
For more information on how to get involved through the Division of Student Affairs, go to text.ag/create your Aggie experience. Thanks and gig 'em.